So just tell me first, like, did you always know you were going to train Mylo to talk? Like, how did you come across, like, did you get him knowing that, or did you get the dog first? Like, what came first, the chicken or the egg?
No, it was definitely, I knew from day one I was going to teach him to talk because I never had a dog before. So I didn't know anything about them. And of course, like the rest of us, obsessed with Bunny and other talking
Oh,
dogs in
see,
the pandemic.
I didn't know. So you
Yeah.
did know about Bunny.
Yes, I knew about Bunny, binged them. And there's another talking dog named Lexi. She's like a husky mix and her owner,
Okay.
Chell. She's black as well. So I like binge
Oh.
watched the two of them. And then I was like, from day one, I'm going to have the buttons there. And so, yeah, we started the first day I got them home.
Oh, wow. Okay, see, that's special. I feel like it's too late with my Jordy. Like, I feel
it's
like...
actually easier because older dogs already know words versus a puppy. So he had to learn me in this new environment and understand the words in terms of narrating. That's the first step of teaching. And then associating with the buttons. So it took us a while. It took us like a month and a half. And I was literally about to give up until we turned the corner. It took a really long time. So yeah, older dogs actually do have a bit of an advantage. I mean, there's an 11-year-old cat that started. There's like an 9-year-old dog that started. So yeah, it's definitely possible.
What further research have you done beyond like just Instagram to like really dive into this? Because I feel like you've been so successful with Mylo and him being able to communicate.
So the company Fluent Pet, who sells like the buttons, the same buttons that like Bunny uses, they have like training resources online. And it comes with like, if you buy a kit, they come with a guide. But the process is really simple. It's just so much repetition that most people are probably like, no, I'm not doing that. Like it's the whole all day. You're either speaking it or you're using the buttons like they're yours those first couple of months. And every time you add a button, you have to use it, figure out where you're going to place it, like how your buttons are organized and you use them. So it's a bit of I feel like it's a lifestyle that everyone's not going to want to sign up for.
What do you feel like has been the most beneficial part of doing this with your dog?
I think honestly having like our life pretty much snapshotted. So like, of course, dogs don't live forever. They're only going to be with you for like a certain part of your life. So I can go back and look at like our first year and look at like all of these moments and they're perfectly edited and they're all there. So it's like, of course, if you just take pictures and videos of your dog, you can always go back and reference them. But like, there's so many button moments that I completely forgot about. I'm going back and like binging my own stuff. Like every single moment of like his progression, him growing up, it's all documented there. So I think that's like my number one favorite thing.
Well, tell me more. Like, what have been some benefits to literally just committing to this with your pet? We have so many people listening that have dogs, that have cats, right? And Black folks be like, this my son. This my son, so it's not just like, oh, this is like a pet that lives in the house with me. And we have this real connection to our animals. How, would you say this has benefited that or any other aspect of being a pet owner?
So the first step that you do is narrating. So when you're narrating, you're really observing them and like their mood. You notice little ticks, like the way that I taught him Mad, like one of his most used buttons.
Yes.
He does this nervous scratch thing when he was upset. If I told him, no, you can't have that, or no, that's all done, he would do the scratch. And every time he did it, I'm like, oh, you're mad. So I would narrate Mad. So I think
Wait, because I'm learning while you do it. Okay. So narrating Mad means what? Just like saying it? When he does something? It.
Yeah. So every time, like, I would be like, oh, Mylo's all done. He does this specific scratch. It's like he's standing on all fours and he uses his back leg and kind of like does that. So I'm like, oh, Mylo mad. So every time I'm like, oh, you're mad. Mylo mad. Mylo mad. Just keep saying that. And you really focus like on words that are going to be buttons or like button words. So we're not saying like Mylo is mad or are you mad? Like taking out certain parts of speech and just kind of speaking really robotic. And then you're going to eventually add buttons for those words.
Because I have absolutely, and I want to get to this later, but like the teaching of feelings, I'm like, how they doing that? Okay, I get outside and scritches, but I love you? Like how? So I will.
Some are easier.
I will get to that. I mean, Bunny be having existential conversations about...
Bunny's like on her own wavelength.
Yo, if y'all do not know about this dog, like Bunny, you're just like, oh, you're a person. Like you're a reincarnated person.
But it makes sense, especially when Alexis like talks about her personality and how introverted she is and shy it is. Like it makes sense for her to have these thoughts versus Milo's kind of like a nut. So he's not, we'll have some deep stuff or like my mind will be blown by like simple things. But for the most part, he's just, about what he wants and not what I want. So they all have their own personality, which is just crazy because they're all pretty much using the same buttons for the most part.
But they're doing it in a different way. But so I cut you off. You was talking about the benefits. So you said you narrated Mad.
Yeah. So yeah, when you're narrating stuff for them, you're paying so much attention to their body and their body language that you become like hyper aware to their needs. So even when we don't have buttons, I can tell by like the way he's doing, if he's like panting, if he's not, because I pay a close attention to his body language for like teaching concerned or teaching happy or teaching mad. Like it just makes you more aware of them. And I think that like brings you closer because you're just like hyper aware because everything you're doing, you're narrating. When they're curious, when you're going to a new place, you're speaking to them a specific way that you know that they're going to like understand.
Have you found that there were words that were easier for him to get than others?
Mad for sure was easy. His first like button that he used on his own, like I mentioned, we did like a month and a half and he really wasn't showing any progress. And then I had a protein container, empty one, like near the recycle bin. And he knocked it over as a puppy. He was like 4 months. He knocked it over and was chasing it around the house like a lunatic. And so he really enjoyed it. So I'm like, okay, this can be a toy. So I called it Jug and I made like a Jug button. And like the same day he was like Jug, Jug, Jug. And that was the button that made everything click. And all those months of training, at that point, we had like 8 buttons. All those months of training, it took Jug. So it's really just like that piqued his interest. And then from there, he was just all about talking.
I'm just so fascinated because first of all, everyone knows I'm obsessed with animals, but I also feel like humans really be like, well, it's the fact that we have language that's really like what set us apart. And I'm like, these other animals have language. We just can't understand what they're saying. How has this, if at all, has it like changed your view about animals or expanded it? Because sometimes I watch your videos and you be shocked. Like you be like,
yeah. I think it's just a lot because, like I said, this is my first dog. Like I was never even around dogs because like my dad growing up lied and said that I was allergic to cats and dogs because he got sick of me asking for a cat or a dog. So I grew up my whole life like away from them, and I took an allergy test and come to find out I'm not allergic. And then he fessed up that he lied. So I spent my whole time away from them. And then my first dog is Mylo. So it's like I'm already like getting used to being around a dog and like caring for a dog and all of that. And then he's talking and it's talking on this level. So it was just like oof. But I feel like at this point, like I'm around other people's dogs and like because I'm so aware of like body language, I'm like, oh, the dog is this or the dog's not well, the dog's tail is down. Like he's not, feeling confident right now, et cetera, et cetera. I can tell before a dog's about to snap, like all from just him. So yeah.
Well, these people got questions, y'all. They got questions, so you can get your answers out in little bits. Come on over to our Patreon-only questions. You know what to do. Go to the Amandaverse or go to patreon.com, Amanda Seals, and let's get into it.